Okay, I think yeah, we have enough people to get started. I think more people will be joining anyway. So I wish Google Meet had the same feature as Zoom to like. I think it does, but it doesn't allow us to do that right now, where people can join automatically. You don't need to admit them every time. Um, yeah. So this session, introducing getting started with Git and GitHub. This is a session I've been giving for the last few years. Every year, we organize at least 1 or 2 sessions on this exact topic. Usually around October, because October may we have October. So I would want you guys to like, I'll be asking some questions beach mein, and I want you guys to respond. You can respond in the chat if you find it uncomfortable to speak, then you can message in the chat. How many of you are familiar with Hacktoberfest? You can just say yes also. Would you like me to tell you about Hacktoberfest? Anyone? Anyone who would like me to tell you about Hacktoberfest? Anyone who wants to participate in the coming Hacktoberfest? Okay. Okay. I think there is a number of people. Okay, so this will be a very. I thought of preparing some slides, but I felt it would be better just to be very spontaneous with it. So I'll just spontaneously show things around. Um, so okay, we'll start with Git. What I'm going to do is I'll open a PowerShell. We'll cd into so what I'll do is I'll just create a directory to learn Git. Okay, for now. So I'll just cd into that. Okay, so now we have a folder. We have a folder for learning Git, right? Um, you should be able to see this folder here as well. Yeah. So what I want to do is like we are all familiar with. So all of you are familiar with creating a document, right? So this is Notepad. You could document. You write some text in it, right? And then you go to File, Save As, or Control S, and save it, right? So wherever you want to save it, you'll go here, save it here, say hello world txt. So it saves here, right? You can see it here, hello world.txt. So now we have this. Now what we are going to do is we'll make some changes to it. This is couple live from Hyderabad. I made some changes, Control S, saved it, right? So if I so now this hello world.txt file, if I open this, it will open this file, right? Like hello world, this is couple live from Hyderabad. Now we can make some more changes. You can add some more text. We can say something like I am giving a session on getting started with Git and GitHub, right? I'm added some more text. Okay. So now I'm making some changes. I'm adding text and I'm saving it, right? So it just every time I save it, the file is updated, right? This file here, it's updated every single time I save it. So if I open it, it just opens the last save, right? So now what if I make a lot of different changes, right? So I'm not going to write a lot of text everywhere. I'll just say like copy paste a lot. Okay. So suppose you're writing a big document, and you write some, like text. You write some text here. You write some text like say you write text here and then you delete this off, right? And then you continue writing. So now you have, this is the current version of the file. So what if you want to go back to that previous version where you deleted that, right? So Abhi, I have all this text, right, in the document. What if I want to go back to the version where I just had hello world, right? How do I do that? Is there a way I can do that with Notepad? The screen is dark, command line prompt. Yeah, my PowerShell is dark. Is it not visible clearly? Opacity.
Hey, Kapil, can you make it a bit larger, the font a bit larger, and probably
Yeah, just a second.
background in white?
28 should be fine. This is big enough. This is too big. Is this clear? Can you guys see this?
Yes.
Okay, okay, cool. So I was asking if you want to like you're writing a document in Word or Notepad or some editor, you're writing some document, you write a whole lot of text, and you delete some part of it. Then you want to like go back to the version where you deleted that part, or you want to go back to a previous version. Like for example, when I just had Hello World starting main. So is there a way to do that with Notepad? I would actually, for this, I would actually prefer if you unmute yourself and speak. If anyone has any thoughts, any ideas, it doesn't have to be a straightforward. Yeah. So undo is one suggestion, right? So if I do like Control Z undo continuously, it will. So it seems like it only has history till here, so it's not going back. I say. But yeah, so it's not perfect, right? So it has limitations, but to some degree it works, right? So to some degree, if I delete all of this, then I undo, I get it back. That's a tiny little feature I can make use of. Is there any other way I could like do this? Okay, so let's do this instead. This might be a better example. Uh, wait, this is font is not clear. Screen text. No.
You have white background at the end.
Hmm. This is showing, the text is showing in yellow. I'm trying to change that. Okay, wait a second. No, doesn't have the option in font. You have to change it from here itself. Text, pop-up text. Let me just open up. It's in yellow itself. Can you guys see the yellow? That's the only thing I'm concerned about. Can you see the yellow? Like if I'm writing anything in PowerShell, be able to
No.
see this.
No.
Not able to see the yellow, right? How do I change the text? Screen text. in this. That's why I like PowerShell. Let me see if I can. It's not even changing. Yeah. Highlight is working. Let me just do this for now. Okay, what I wanted to do was, this is taking too much time. Let me just. So what I wanted to do was, I'll just, you don't, like, if you're confused about any commands, like, they are not super important right now. I'll show them again, separately. But I'm just trying to create another folder away. So say you're writing a book, okay? So in your book, you will have multiple documents, right? So you will have chapter one. You will say this is chapter one, right? And then you'll have chapter one. And then you will say uh, chapter two. This may you will say this is chapter two. So you will create a chapter like this, right? So Avi, like say, I'll just copy this. So say like you're working on a book like this, okay, and you just delete. You don't like one chapter. You just delete one chapter, right? And then you just create another chapter, right? So let's just copy this. So this is just for example, but yeah, like say you delete one chapter, you don't have that anymore, and you make some more changes and stuff, right? So here again, like you would, or say not just one chapter, but uh, not one chapter, but say like some text in one chapter, right? So if you delete that and you want to go back to it, uh, will you be able to do that? Like undo is like not always available, right? Like you can't undo the text within the document. So would you be able to do would you be able to go back to the text that you deleted with the tools we have, like with save and files? Yeah, so this is where someone has looked it up, I guess. This is where uh, can you guys see the green text? That's right. Yeah, this works actually. Thanks for that. Good thing someone looked it up. So I changed it to black. So yes, the point I was trying to come to was that so before we get into it, we have to understand the concept of saving, basically, right? So saving is like we have computers to create documents, files, all kinds of stuff, right? Anything and everything is like whatever we are creating is a file, right? If we are creating a text document, if we are creating a diagram, also a Photoshop document, video, everything is a file basically. And what we do is they're zeros and ones. And what we do is we change those zeros and ones. We edit them, right? We make some changes, and we save those changes. But when you're working on a project, when you're working on a project, you make a lot of different changes. But a lot of times you find yourself in a position where you want to go back to a different version of the project, right? So this is something that applies to anything you do with a computer, any kind of file or project you work on, even if it's working on a book, you're creating files and making changes to it, right? So as an author, you might make some changes here and there, and then suddenly you're in a position where you're like, I need to go back to that previous version. But then the computer doesn't really allow you to do that with the save and undo option, right? It's not that powerful. It's very, very limited. You can undo only some recent changes to some degree or whatever. And you might have to, like if you really want to control the different versions of your project, every time you make some changes, instead of saving it, you save as a new document, right? So that is like too cumbersome, too tedious of a process. So what you would ideally want to do is you would want the computer to itself, store the version, each version of the project, right? So that is what version control means, basically. So let's see. So that is what version control means, right? So what you're doing is you're controlling the different versions of your project, right? Any project, right? So it's not something that specifically just applies to code. It also just applies to any project that you have on your computer, even if it's like your book, writing a book, or some image editing, or any sort of a file that is on your computer. If you're making changes to it, you can, and you want to control the different versions that exist of that project as you build it. You can use version control for it. The reason why we only talk about version control when we're talking about coding is because when coding, there's a lot of changes you make. Coding is like a process of constantly, continuously making a lot of updates, and not just the updates part, but when you're coding and building a project, the need to go back to a different version arises a lot more than it does for any other sort of a project. So with any other project, you don't find that many opportunities or reasons to go back to a previous version or anything, right? But when you're working on a code based project, some application, you constantly find the need to go back to a different version of the project, especially if you're not working alone. If you're working with multiple people, there's each person is making a lot of different changes, and you need to manage all the different versions and stuff. That's where the need to control all the versions, go back to different versions, and manage all of that comes. That is where software, you need some software to manage that, which is what you call version control, basically. So there have been lots of software tools that allow you to do that. We In the past, like everyone used to use SVN, basically, which was, I believe, by Apache. Um, CV, I believe there was also CVS and SVN, I believe. So SVN was the one that was really popular, and then we what you all know, like, what's the biggest open source project in the world? Can anyone tell me that?
Linux.
Linux. Is there anyone else who has any other suggestion for which is the biggest open source project in the world? Okay, so yeah, that's the right answer, Linux. Because it's open source, it means it has a lot of developers contributing to the project, right? So a lot of developers contributing to the project means a lot of changes being made by a lot of developers constantly every single day to the project, right? So with that, it becomes like controlling the version becomes pretty much the most important thing, right? If you're not able to properly control the different versions of the project, then your project is completely out of control, right? You can't build the project properly. So that is where Linus Torvalds found the desire, found the need to, he was using, they were using SVN, I believe, at that time, but they just found it not good enough to work on Linux. That's when he thought of, like, there should be a better version control software, and that's when he thought of, building Git. So that's when he worked on Git and put Git out there as a version control software. And then Git just took over the world. I think it was released in 2004, around 2004, and in just a few years, it became like the most popular version control software in the world. No one even talks about any other alternatives, pretty much. So Git is basically a software you use to do version control. And again, like you can do version control for any file on your computer, not just for your software projects, but anything. People don't usually think about it that way, but it's important to think and understand that. So Git is used for version control, right? But of course, it's designed for with code in mind, code projects in mind, like software projects in mind. So its features are built with that in mind. So Git is used for that, right? So you can use Git independently by yourself on your system, and you go to the download. You download Git as any other software you would download. You can just Google it, and you can install it on your system. If you're on Windows, there's your system, like if you might have some, you might use some package manager to install software. For Linux and for Mac, they are well-known package managers, but a lot of people don't know that there's this package manager called Chocolatey for Windows. So if you're on Windows, you can check this out. What you can do is you can just go to chocolatey.org, search for whatever software you want to install, and you need to install Chocolatey first, and then you can just run that command in your terminal, PowerShell, whatever, and it would basically install the software, right? So then you can do Git, and it will run Git or whatever, right? So then what you do is there are basic commands that you need to. So the first command is, like, we created this folder, right? Learn Git. So for any software project, you create a folder in which you write code. So when you create a folder, you initialize Git. So you write Git init. So then Git starts tracking that project, right? So these are some of the basic commands. So Git status is basically you're asking Git what is the current status of this project. There all this stuff it shows you on branch master, no commits yet. We'll talk about all of this, branches and commits and stuff. But Git is, so again, fundamentals. Git is a version control software that you use to track the versions, different versions of your code, right? So uh, it's a hyper powerful save option or save button sort of a thing. You can think about it that way. The way you have like Notepad ka, save option, Git is basically a save option, but it's far more powerful. Basically, it saves. You can control this version you save, and how you save it, and what you save, and you can go to different versions of it and stuff. Basically. So, any questions until now about anything I've said? Okay, so let's just quickly go through some of the basic commands then. So we have Git status, like as I said, you create a folder and then you say Git init, right? And that's how you initialize Git on any folder. And then you say Git status. That's the first command you should, like the first command you should learn after Git init, which is basically asking Git what the current status is, right? So here it is on branch master, no commits yet, right? And you can see the two files we have created, book and hello world. So what if I go to this file, this document, and I save this, I go here on branch master, and track files. Okay, let's do this. So you have Git status, it says on branch master, no commits yet. How do I show this? Wait. I mean, let's just go with the dumbest example. I'm actually laughing at the example, but yeah, like this is what we use. Like a tree is the example we use. A tree is what we use in software as well, right? Like inverted tree is what we use for binary tree. A tree is the logic, like as a representation. That is what we use to describe a lot of different logics in code as well, right? So even with Git, we use this the structure of the tree as the like structure for like how we talk about Git as well and stuff. So in Git, you have the master branch, which is the main branch basically. And then you have these other branches, right? So you can imagine like you start the project, and this is where you're initiating Git basically, and this is the master branch. And then if you're making some changes, instead of making it in the master branch, you can create separate branches for those changes, and you can save those stuff in those branches. Then you can, we'll talk about merging branches and stuff. But basically, this is the idea, right? So you have like the first thing you have to understand is the master branch, which is the main trunk of the tree, the main branch, right? So when it says on branch master, it's saying like you're currently on the master branch basically, and you have not made any commits yet. So the word commit is what Git uses for the word save. So instead of saying save, it says commit basically. So why does it say that? Because save is just you're saving the whatever the current state of the file is. But commit basically means you're taking a snapshot of the project at that time. So basically, so I'll just run this and show you. Git add commit learning. Unable to order your email address. Okay. I think I haven't set up. I haven't set up my. I mean, this is good for you guys also because you'll get to see how to set up your configuration. User name. Git status. Nothing to commit. Working tree clean. So now, before when we looked at Git status, it says untracked files, but now it says nothing to commit. Working tree clean, right? So uh, so again, like it uses the word the tree, the design, like the structure of the tree in the terms for Git. Basically, you can think of it as a tree, basically, right? So there's tree and there's the master branch and all of that. So what we did was we basically took a snapshot of our project, the learn Git repo, which has these two files right now, right? So what does a snapshot mean? A snapshot is like at that time, whatever the state of the entire folder is, it or file is or whatever, it saves the entire thing as one snapshot with the timestamp, right? So when we do git log, just a second, my laptop is running out of battery. This might actually go slightly longer than I planned it for, but yeah. So when we git log here, it says author Datta Kapil. I just configured it, right? I gave my username Git, whatever. It says learning Git, right? So just a second. Directory. Why is it not showing the? Okay, but yeah, like this is what a snapshot means. It has taken like, so this is the message for the snapshot, right? So it's saying that in this version, this is what was done. So it is not a useful message actually. Let's make some more changes. Giving a session on Git and GitHub. Right, save it, Control S. So when you make changes, you save the document, Control S, whatever, and then you can check by saying, it says like if you do Git status, it shows that there are some changes not staged for commit, modified hello world.txt. We just changed the hello world, right? So it has detected those changes and it's saying that you haven't saved these changes, you haven't committed them, right? So when committing, what you do is the first step is you do git add. Git add is the command you use to add any documents or files or whatever in the staging area. I'll just talk about what that is. Before that, let me do this actually. What I'm going to do is I'll just create some folder for some web app, say. I'll create a file for HTML. Create a file for the CSS. So I'm obviously not like actually linking anything or writing anything sensible. This is just for an example. Okay. So now say you do git status. You have the web app, of course. You say let's go into web app. Okay. So just a second. Say what you want to do is we have created 3 files here, right? We've created this junk. We've created these 3 files, right? So say I want to save a snapshot in which I first save just the HTML and the CSS file. I want to save the JavaScript file separately, right? So what I do is git add index HTML, git add index with CSS status. So these two have been added. Changes to be committed. These two have been added to the staging area. The staging area is, you can imagine it as a stage between the changes you have made, saving it, in Git, right? So in the staging area, you're telling Git, these are the files I want to save, basically, right? So you can specifically tell Git that I want to save these particular files and not save other files, because you might make a lot of different changes at one time. And then go to type the command git add or git commit or whatever. So when you're about to commit, you might not want to commit all the changes you have made across all the files. You might want to save only some particular files, right? So in that particular commit, you can add some particular files, and in a separate commit, you can add separate files, right? So here we have added index.html and CSS, and I'll just, so these are in the staging area already. So what you do is just say git commit, which is basically the term for saving, right? And you say uh, added the HTML and CSS files, right? So now if I do git log is nothing but it shows the history of all the git commits you have made. So the first commit was learning Git, the initial commit I made. Then I created a commit for added the HTML and CSS file. But if I do git status now, the JavaScript file is still saved, right? Index.javascript is still not saved. And the hello world .txt file also was not saved, right? So I saved, say, uh, git add. I don't want to save the hello world text, right? I just, directly just say git add index.js, right? So then I do git status. I can see that it's in the staging area. Then I do git commit, and you can say added the JavaScript file. You'll add the JavaScript file. So this is a third commit I've made. Added the JavaScript file, right? So these are all like saved in Git now. There are three. These are 3 different versions. This is the first version, second version, third version. In this version, there's only the HTML and CSS file, basically. And in this version, there's the JavaScript file as well, right? So what the problem is, so say like this somewhere, if you want to add all the files together instead of specifying something specific, any file specifically, you can use the dot or period. You can say git add dot, and it will add all the files, and you can say git commit m and adding the rest of the files. Much more staged. What happened here? Added git file to update what will be committed. Okay, it's saying added directly. Okay, because we are not here. Because we are inside the folder. I'm actually not sure how you remove. I've never had the motivation to remove a file from staging. I think there is a simple command for that. So here's the thing, right? You have to Google basically remove file from staging area. Okay. And you will find it very easily. There's probably a very simple command for that. Git add, get reset head directory name from the staging area. So it'll be very easy to just so say git add Git status is in the staging area. Okay, git reset head. You should be able to say in stage changes after reset Git status. Yeah, it's not in the staging area anymore. So you can add this and then do git commit, made changes to hello world doc, right? No changes, git log, made changes to hello world doc, right? So that's the basic. The vim command related to vim editor or just a constant. The vim command related to, yeah, it's related to, I'm using the vim editor because I don't want to open a separate editor. Can you also explain in Git? So the dot slash thing has nothing to do with Git. Wait a second. So it's just when you're using the terminal command line or whatever, you call files by the dot slash notation. It doesn't have anything to do with Git. And yes, I'm using the Vim editor because Vim would open it directly. I can just say, like, if I go to web app, you can say Vim hello world.js. If I'm creating some JS file, right, I can use Vim console log. Right. Do I have Node installed? Yeah, I have Node installed. Node hello. Yeah, so it's just the in command line terminal you have dot slash notation when you use the dot slash notation when you're calling files or whatever, you're writing files, or just files are described. You first have the dot slash and then the file name basically in terminal command line. Any other questions? Anyone who was not able to understand what I showed until now? So the commands I've shown are just a second. Commands git init, I showed git log, git status, git add, git commit. Oh, there's actually another thing I could show you. Git status. So Instead of doing instead of doing git add and stuff, you can do git commit am. A stands for add and M stands for message. You can directly write the message. Created JS file for hello app. Unbranched master untracked files. Why didn't it add that? Okay, it wants me to. Why is it asking me to do that? Actually, let's say I am creating the okay. Should have added it before. But okay. I wanted to show it, but I have to do that again. So basically, if you have multiple files to commit together, instead of doing git add and then doing git commit, you can do git commit am and the message, and it should commit all the files and add and commit all the files together, basically. But yeah, because there's individual files, should have saved the folder, added the folder first to show that. But you can try that as well. Experiment with that. So what other git commit, git add is required before? No. So when you're doing am, uh, git commit. So instead of doing, basically what I'm saying is, instead of in the Abhitak, I was just showing you would do git add file name or whatever, right? Like file name or whatever, and then you would git commit, right? Instead of doing git add and git commit separately, what you can do is git commit am. Am stands for A is add and M is message, and then you write the message. You always, when you're writing a commit thing, you always write a message. Dash M stands for message. Earlier I was doing that, and now I'm adding A to that. A is add. So the add command is like, just adds everything here itself. And M is for message, and then you write your message and you save it, basically. Okay. So always make sure you write your messages in as eloquent, not eloquent, but as relevant way as possible. So that basically, when someone reads the message in the Git log, they should be able to like add the JavaScript file. They should be able to read the message and understand कि ये version में क्या किया है, right? Like they should be able to understand कि in this version the JavaScript file was added, in this version HTML and CSS file was added, right? So what I'm not able to understand is, did they change this Git log? It's not showing commit ID. Any other questions? You can ask me post some questions in the chat while I'm checking on this. It's been a while actually since I've properly. I want to look at the commit ID. For instance, I want to record the commit ID. Git No, it's not what I'm looking. It's start. Mm-hmm. Insertion delete. Why am I not seeing? So when you do git log, you are supposed to see the commit ID, like here. See this piece of cryptic, this string of numbers, letters. This is the commit ID. You're supposed to see this when you do git log, but we are not seeing that here. I'm not sure why. Did they change something, or am I doing something wrong? It's supposed to work with just git log. Let me do one thing. What I'll do is
And then you will get the committed.
I'm not able to hear.
I have pinged you. Like you need to push it right to the branch.
No, you don't need to even. As far as I remember, You don't even need to do that. But let me just check. I'll try that. Wait, I'll just do that. Oh, theory. So let me just check that in the system. Yeah, it's probably as far as I remember, you don't even need to push it. I'll come to pushing and everything. That's a separate this thing, but it's supposed to show. Um, I'll check it on Git Bash as well. No. Where are we? I've actually never used Git Bash before. It's showing commit. In my system, Git log is showing commit ID. Yeah, it's supposed to show. I think I am doing something wrong. So if I do Git log here, yeah, it's not showing here as well. No, wait, this is not it. If I do git log here, yeah, here also it's not showing. I think something is wrong with something I've done. It's supposed to show the commit ID. I'll have to check on this actually. I don't think I can do that right now, but it would have been. I have actually no idea why it's not showing commit ID here. Because so what I did here is this is the Codeplex GitHub repo. So here it is. So you can see like here you have the commit IDs. Right, so each commit gets a separate unique ID basically, and you use that to identify the commit. All the commits have a commit ID. Every single commit that is made has some commit ID. You can see these commit IDs here, but I downloaded the same repo to my system. If I do git log here, it's still not showing the commit ID for each of these commits. So there's something wrong with this thing. And git bash mein, how do you change directory? It's not changing here now. Maybe the oh, that's an interesting suggestion. No, it was a nice thought actually though. Interesting thought, but no, that's not what's happening here. There is no commit ID. I'm not sure why. Maybe you guys can also Google it later and figure out why there is no, because I've genuinely no idea because I've never seen this. There's always commit ID. So I think I've done something wrong somewhere, which is a very interesting thing because like that is when you get to learn something. When you when you do something wrong and figure out what you did wrong, that's when you learn. So you can figure that out later. It's not super important away, but ideally it would have been would have. I don't think I'd be able to show a lot of things if I don't have the commit ID. What do we do? CD. Does anyone know how to change directory in Git Bash because CD is not working? Maybe I need to just I tried it, right? I just did CD. Are you going to a different drive in your system or to a different folder? I'm trying to go to a different drive. So if I just do, if I do like workspace and CD workspace, then it will go to workspace, but that's within the same drive. I tried going. Oh, okay. Yeah, this works. This works. This works. So what we wanted to do was, you can see the commit IDs here. So it might be a PowerShell thing, I guess. But in the past also in PowerShell, I was able to see commit IDs. I'm not sure what's happening there. But yeah, as you can see the commit IDs, right? When you do git log, you can see the commit IDs, and the commit ID is basically the ID for this commit, right? If you want to address this commit, you want to access this commit or whatever, you can use the commit ID. So we have like a few commits here, right? Abhi, like if we go to our folder here, this is what we see: books, hello world, all of that. If we do git checkout, I'm actually not sure if this is going to work. Git checkout, it is not Git log. That didn't work. Would this commit ID work? PowerShell. Interesting. Git checkout. Git branch. Is it Git branch? Add. Plus. Okay. I don't remember the command for adding new branch. I thought it was git branch add, or is it git add new branch? Okay. So even people who are very much familiar with any tool or anything, they also keep forgetting basic stuff like this all the time. It should make you feel very comfortable if you forget anything as well. It should be checkout B is not a valid. Why is it not a? I'm going to create a new branches. Okay. No.
There is space between first and commit.
Got it. Git branch. Ah. So now in detached state, you look around, make it change, and then commit on your Why isn't this working? Okay. Also, I can run the first second Git Log shows whether I commit IDs. No codes. So what I was trying to do was I mean, that's how I remember it, but it seems like it's not working right now. I'm not sure why. But when you check out, so git checkout is the term you use. Yeah, sorry for that. So what the way I remember it is it should update like the files here as well. If you check out previous version. That's what I was trying to see. If I check out the first commit, then it should go back to that as well in the folder. You should be able to see that file, but that's not happening here. So I mean, that's just to show you how it works, how powerful Git can be. But anyway, so here at least, yeah, codes are valid. Here at least, what you can see is when we do Git status, I just showed you how to create a branch and stuff as well. So if you remember that image of the tree or whatever, I just created a new branch. So the way branches, the reason why branches are helpful is when you're making a lot of changes in your files, right? So say we have this um, hello app, right? And this we are creating some hello app basically, right? So we have a functional app, say, right, and it works, right? Or say, I mean, I can show this with the Codaplex. So this is the Codaplex repo, and it's like the website code basically, right? So what if I want to make some changes, right? I'll actually get to this later. It will make sense after that. But I'll just say this for now. If you want to add anything new, if you want to experiment with any idea for any new feature, or if you want to resolve any bugs, instead of doing it in the master branch, which is what we were in, Git branch. So here you can see there are these three things. There's this first commit thing which I created. Then there's the master thing, which was what we were using pehle. And this is this thing, which is the commit ID for the first commit that I checked out into, right? So, we have the let me change this. Just run bash on Windows machine to work with it instead of PowerShell. Can I run it from VS Code application? Yeah, I think so. VS Code has its own. So VS Code has its own terminal. Anything that has its own terminal should be able to, you should be able to run bash or Git from it. Bash, you can, I believe, you can run. You can run. So it was available until now using Git Bash, but Bash by default uh, is so not by default, but is available on Windows. I'm not sure how do you install and use an expansion. Just check this. I know that it was made available on Windows, but I'm not how you run it. So just check the Google it, because I know that so before in the past when anyone wanted to run bash on Windows, they used to like install git bash and run bash commands. Yeah, so if you install git, you have git bash, and you can run bash through git bash, right? But you can also get bash separately for Windows as well. It was made available for Windows a couple of 2-3 years ago or something like that. So you can get it separately as well. I'm not sure how. I didn't do it myself, but I know that it is possible to work with Git instead of. You don't need PowerShell also for it. You don't need Git Bash also for it. Can I run it? So what you're seeing? Actually, I think you're confused here, because here the commands I'm using, they seem like Bash, but it's not. PowerShell is not exactly running Bash. These commands have been implemented in PowerShell separately by Microsoft. PowerShell is like a power terminal for Windows or whatever. You use primarily everyone uses the command line, right? The command prompt. So everyone uses this, but it's not, it doesn't have that many features or anything. So Microsoft built Windows PowerShell as a more powerful terminal or command line interface, and it implemented a lot of features, making it as powerful as a terminal on Linux or whatever, basically. So that's why like any, like proper, like developers who work on Windows usually use PowerShell instead of command prompt on Windows directly. So the commands I'm running here, like even ls or whatever, these are not bash commands. Like, I mean, they are bash commands. They're inspired by bash commands, but it's not running bash by itself directly, I believe. Git branch is basically need to manage a different branches. Like you can check out a particular. Yes, that's correct. Let me show how. Yeah, I'll show that. So I mean, I just wanted to finish this part. So Git, I think most of you understand all of that, the basic commands and stuff. This is the Git commit, Git branch, Git checkout. So Git checkout is what you use to check out a different version or branch of the project, basically. Git branches to create and see your different branches and stuff. So when you want to work on a new feature, or any you want to resolve any bug, ideally you should create a new branch and do that in the branch, because it doesn't mess with the main code in the master branch, basically, right? You want to leave the production code as it is, because production code or master code should be the most functional code. It should always be like the best version, or the most not the best version, but the functional version. It should work, basically. So if you mess with that, if you're trying to resolve your bugs or add a new feature in the master branch, if you make some mistakes, then it will also get added in the master branch and it will not be functional anymore. So the practice is that whenever you want to make any sort of changes, ideally you should create a new branch, make changes in the branch, and then you merge branch with the master branch. And that's where, I mean, you have the git merge command as well, where you have branch 1 and branch 2 or whatever. Like say we created this branch, right? So you want to merge first commit into master. So you can say something like this, I believe, and it will merge the different branches together, two branches together. So you'll have again merge conflict and stuff as well, that will come as well later. But these are some of the commands I wanted to show. Now let's get into, like, I think we've gone through a lot of time already, so let's try to rush a little bit. Did I show this picture or not? I think I did. Git was my second big project, which was only created to maintain my first big project, Linux. So he created Git to manage Linux, basically. Now we are all using it. Now let's talk about GitHub. So, okay, you can use, so Git as a software, you can use on any server, right? So if you have your project and you host your project on your server, what you can do is you can install Git on your server in a way that you can have all your teammates work together through that server, through Git, and collaborate with each other, basically, right? So you can set it up so that you can clone, push all of that directly from your server. You don't need anything else. You don't need GitHub. You don't need any platform to do that. You can use the Git software within source, and you can put it on your server, and you can collaborate with your teammates and work on your project together using Git. So it's just that, so what GitHub does is it makes all of that entire user experience very simple, basically. So instead of setting up Git on your server and all of that, it makes it very, very simple to set up your account and create a new repository. So if you don't have a GitHub account, by the way, you can create like GitHub is not the only option there is, first of all, that you have to know, because there are alternatives. There is GitLab, Bitbucket, and other options. So you can check those out as well if you want. It's not like GitHub, like everyone just seems to know only GitHub, but GitHub is not like the only option. It's just the most popular option, basically. So yeah, you can sign up on GitHub, and you can create a new repository, right? So you can say like learn Git. This repo is for my personal It's a public repo. It has a README file. So you can create a repo, you give it a name, and you set up the repo. This is the repo now. So what would have basically happened is there a way? Let me see if I can draw this for you guys. Just a second. So, so So this is your local. This is your. I'll come to this. Um, you could say your server, or what could you call this? You could say this is your server or your master or whatever, right? So this is the local file basically. So here I created this. I mean, okay, so this is not relevant right now. Only this part is relevant. So what I've done is I have this local, these local files here. Let me just rm course. So I have this repo, the learn git repo. This is in my local system, which is this, right? This is my local system. The files are here. And what I've done is I've created this repo on GitHub's servers, right? So this is on GitHub's server. This is GitHub's server, basically, right? And this is my local system here. And in GitHub server, under my profile, I've created this repo for learn git, right? So what I'm going to do now is I'll say git remote. Oh, wait, git remote. Wait. Unknown subcommand. Why is this not working? Oh, is it? Remote add. Is it? So I am trying to remember it from my memory. Please forgive me for making mistakes. Yeah, so it's git remote add. So what you're saying is like you're telling your local system that you're adding a remote link from your local system to this remote server file repository you have created. Repository just means folder. So you have created this folder on GitHub server, and you're linking this to your local system, and you're telling Git link this to this. And the way you do that is by using this command git remote add. Origin is basically the name. So name for this address. This is the address, and this is the name for the address. So instead of calling this address every single time you want to address, like call it, you just name it origin, and you just say origin, and Git understands that what you really mean is this address, which is this repo on GitHub. Uh, Someone is trying to. Yeah. So now I have linked this. What I can do is git. Do I have any? Yeah. Git commit. So git push is the command you use to push changes you have made here to your remote server, right? So, okay, I mean, I could just. So the common practice is to call this the origin. You can call it anything, but the practice is to call it origin. And we'll just talk about what this is. I'm not sure why this is taking so much time. GitHub shows commands to follow when you create a project without any as you know. It's the role of origin, git remote management reporting. So origin, as I said, origin is just a term. You can call it anything. Right. So you have first of all the command git remote, right? Git remote itself is one command. If you say -v, V stands for verbose. If you say -v, it shows you all the remote. So if you just say this, it will show you the remote the links or connections it has currently. And if you say -v, it shows you not just the names, but also the actual address link as well. You can try this on your system. And to add a new, you say git remote add the name of the link. I'm calling it, origin. You can call it anything. You can say GitHub repo. You can call it anything, but the practice is to call it origin basically. And then you give the address, right? So which is github.com/your username or yeah. Uh, learn git, right? So whatever the URL is, that is the address for the repo. Instead of calling the URL, you're naming the URL origin. You can name it anything. My GitHub repo or anything. So that's the meaning of it. I'm not sure why this is taking so much time. Git push origin master. Let's try. Can we maintain? Yes, you can. You can add multiple remote. Oh, it's trying to get me to log in. Oh, my GitHub has two-factor authentication. So I don't remember any of my passwords. I use password manager, and I also use two-factor authentication. I don't know if it's going to work or not. It's asking me. Hold on, I need to get my. Just a second. Failed to push some rejected. Why? Push. Yeah, it has some git. So you have git pull and git fetch. Both technically, I mean, they are different, but they kind of pull. So there's the README file in my unpacking in my GitHub repo. I believe git push origin master. I did that. Git push. Why is it not pushing? when we maintain multiple remote, can we fetch files or copy code from one to another? You can. It doesn't matter. So remote means you are just adding a link to that repo, right? You can have multiple. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. So it's like if you have completely different code in the GitHub server and completely different code on your local server, uh, and you just pull all your changes from different repos and stuff, then it just the code gets all mixed up, wouldn't it? So it doesn't make any sense in that way. I'll show you where it becomes useful. I'll show you that, but first I need to understand why it's not. Doesn't even know why it's not pushing. From not non-fast forward. Hmm. You can also Google. I don't use Google. I use DuckDuckGo, but you can also search with me. Someone pushing the setting is in this case you need to repeat git fetch, git rebase, git push in. Git fetch kia, git rebase, branch. Oh, I confused this. Git checkout master, git branch, git push origin master. What is happening? I don't know. Git fetch, git base master, git push origin master. What is happening? So all of this as a beginner, you might not even need to do because the GitHub desktop app makes all of this simple. But as a developer, yeah, I did that already. Uh, yeah, so DuckDuckGo, privacy, basically. Google is extraordinarily notorious with uh, tracking data and using the data to personalize and advertise and all of that. And there's a lot of privacy issues around it. So I started using DuckDuckGo many years ago, and I've been comfortable with it. There's a lot of stuff I do around privacy, and I'm still not 100% comfortable, but you do what you can do. I I did fetch it. Refusing to merge unrelated. Okay, let's do this. Let me just delete this. Let me just delete this. And let me Let me create it again. Git and we just create it like this. Just copy this, which I don't know if this will work, but oh yeah, it's done. It's working. So basically, it was refusing to merge. There was the README file. I'll just talk about upstream. But it was had a README file when I created the repo, right? And the README file was not in the local repo. The local repo had all these files, and the README file was not merging with the histories were not merging together. So now you can see the files I saved. So this is simple setup, right? You have git push. If you make any changes here, like say in this file, hello, this is Kapil. I'm giving a session in Git and GitHub. And I hope people are learning. So if I do git status now, it will say it's modified. If I don't know, I'll try to do AM again. Changed hello.tx. I mean, this is not a good commit message, but oh, it worked. So you don't like, yeah, as I was saying earlier, you don't need to do add separately. Git push origin master. Well, it is pushing. It has pushed. You can see this, and I hope people are learning. I made some changes locally, and I pushed it to the server. So I made changes here, and I pushed it here. Origin. We are calling this thing origin, the server repo we created for this file, right? So this is the how you operate when you're doing it you by yourself. Like you create one repo, you're building a project by yourself. You just do this together, right? So if you have other people collaborating with you, can any of you share your GitHub ID with me here? So I'm adding you as a collaborator to this repo. So you should be getting an invite. Once you accept that, you will be able to push changes to this repo as well. I believe. Wait, what's the setting for that? Yeah, you should be able to push, I believe. It'll be stored forever on GitHub as long as they're alive. Microsoft has bought GitHub. So as long as GitHub is alive, your code will be on GitHub. They did this thing called Arctic Code Vault Contributor. So what they did was 2020 tak, in the last 10 years or something, GitHub 2007 something, I believe. So since the day they launched since that time to 2020, all the code that was pushed to GitHub, all the code that was pushed to GitHub, what they did was they backed it all up in like uh, hard drives or whatever storage device, and they like massive storage device, and they kind of created, like, they went to this Arctic uh, place, I think in the north or in the south, and they stored it inside there, so that even thousands and thousands of years later, if all of our humanity disappears or whatever, all that code will still be there basically. So they did that for all the code, including all the code that was there in my repo as well, in my profile. So okay, I'll come to upstream. So I need to explain all of this before I get into upstream. Um, okay, so let me. So upstream becomes important when you're creating to some external project, not your own project, but some project where you're working with some teams, group of people to work on that project, right? So it could be any open source project you're contributing to. It could be your company's project as well if they're using GitHub or any version control website like GitLab or whatever, right? So we have our own organization Codeflix.org and repo. This is for our website, Codeflix website, and the code is open source. So we have this term called fork. Fork means cloning basically, but you're making a copy of the project on your profile. So this project, this repository is under Codeflix.org, Codeflix.org organization, right? So if I click fork, what it does is it creates a copy of that repo under my profile, right? So it made a copy of it. Now, so when you're contributing to any project, Codeflix project, or yeah, any open source project, anything on GitHub or any platform like this, you don't directly just send your changes here. You can't, because you don't have access to it, right? You don't have admin privilege or access to the repo, so that you can just make some changes locally and just push it, right? Like you can clone this project directly if you want. You can take the URL and you can say uh, git clone and paste it, and you'll have to add .git at the end to clone it, and you can give it a name as well, or it will adopt the name of the repo or whatever, and it will clone. So cloning into Codeflix, right? It will clone as in it will download all the files. That's the command git clone, right? So you can download that. I'll just stop this, but what I'm saying is, actually, no, I can. So you can download the. Wait. Let me just wait for this to. So you can download that, but you can't directly just send changes to. Like you can make the changes locally, but you can't send those changes to the repo on GitHub, right? Because you don't have admin access to it, right? So all the files are here. Now I can open this in my editor or whatever, make some changes and stuff, and I can git push, but it will not accept, it will reject because I don't have access to that repo, right? So um, here git remote, this is the origin, right? Git remote origin this thing. So I mean, I will be able to do for this repo because I have access to it, but you will not be able to do it, right? Because you don't have access to it. So for any project you're contributing to, you can't do it directly. So that's when what you do is you fork it first, and GitHub creates a copy of it under your profile. And then what you do is you copy this URL. It gives you a copy link here, and click on this. You can click on this and just this. So you do git clone, and you can fork it and then you clone it, right? So then you have the code. Now this fork I created a long time ago. See here that 638 commits behind the Codeplex org master branch, right? So meaning that in the master, in this original repo, 638 commits were pushed, which I haven't updated or added. Like I cloned it long time ago, 3 years ago, and then all of these commits were made, and I didn't update my repo. This is still the same version it was all those years ago, basically. So if I do git remote here, it will show under my profile, right? So this is where upstream comes. What you do is you do git remote add upstream, and you take the original link, the original repo, which is under codeplex.org, right? You take that and you add it. Now there is origin and upstream. Origin is your forked copy. Upstream is the original copy of the repo. This one is 600 commits ahead. Mine is 600 commits behind. I cloned this one to my system locally. So what I do is I can git pull upstream master. It's in master, right? Yeah. So it will pull all the changes from upstream, which is the original Codeplex repo. Okay. Branch is side of origin master by 600. Right. So now I have pulled all the changes from upstream, which is the original Codeplex repo here. But now my local copy. Wait. So okay. What I did was, let me just draw this. This is the upstream link. This is the fork, right? I forked this. I took a copy of this, and this is my GitHub profile. This is the original Codeplex profile. This whole thing is the GitHub server, right? And this is my local machine, right? So I forked this and I cloned it to my system, and I have the remote link for this, right? Which is origin. I'm calling it origin, right? And then I took this link and I added that as another remote link upstream. Upstream, right? So now this has 638 more commits than this, right? So what I did was I pulled all of the 638 commits to my local system. So this and this, my local and my upstream, are in sync with each other now, right? Because I pulled all the changes here, but this is still outdated. So what I need to do is push this to here so that my origin repo or forked copy is in sync with my upstream this thing, right? So I do git push origin master. It pushes all the 638 commits to the origin or the forked copy, I didn't do anything. No, I did, I guess. Yeah, it pushed everything. So all the changes that were made are now here as well. So that's how you like keep your repos in sync, right? If you're contributing to any project or whatever, you need to fork it. You need to fork it, and then create a copy of it locally, and you edit your changes here. So if you have any updates, like there might be other, like people, there might be other people. So I'm just drawing some computers here, other local computers. They all like push their changes to this original repo, this upstream repo, right? If they all push the changes here, you made your copy here on some date, right? So this copy is not going to have all these changes they have made, right? So to update this, you need to keep this in sync, right? So to update this, you need to pull changes from here to your local system and push them here. Okay, so then this and this will be in sync with each other. And the way you contribute is you make changes in your local system, the way we made changes in the hello world thing, and we pushed it to our this thing, right? Same way with, like they say, the Codaplex repo or whatever, you make changes here and you push it here. Okay, and then after you push it here, you create a, from here to here, you create a PR, which is a pull request. Okay, let me just show that here. So there's no like, so there needs to be some changes. I don't think I can I change anything to show you guys? Let me see. Okay, I'll just add org here. Okay, so instead of Codaplex website, I'm saying Codaplex org website. Okay, I just made some tiny bit of change. So Vim adds a temp file. I haven't figured out how to avoid that. But so if I do git status now, it'll show the README file was updated. What I can do is I'm contributing to the Codaplex repo right now. What I can do is I can say git commit am added org to Codaplex website to readme title. Okay, I made this git status. Your branch is ahead of origin master by one commit. So this local is name. The branch I am on currently is master, right? So the master branch is so it's checking. It doesn't just check based on a repo and stuff. It also checks on branches, right? Currently, I'm on master branch, so it's checking this master branch of this local copy with this master branch of this origin copy, fork copy, and it's saying that this is one commit ahead of this because I just made a change here, right? So now I need to push this to here, basically. So I do git push origin master. So it pushed them. Now, if I, so here we have Codaplex website, right? If I reload this, it will show Codaplex org website. Okay? So this is the README file. GitHub shows the README file under the all the files here. So that's why you're seeing it here. Codaplex org website again. Now, Hooper, you will see this branch is one commit ahead of Codaplex origin master. Same thing as before. Now what it's doing is यहाँ पे it's comparing this master of this master branch of this upstream original repo with this master branch of this forked repo, and it's saying that this is one commit ahead of this, right? So what you do is you can create a pull request, PR. Pull request is nothing but you're basically requesting this repo or the people who manage this repo to pull your changes, whatever changes you have pushed here. You're requesting them to pull your changes. That's why it's called a pull request. Able to merge, create pull request, and say add org to readme title. So different kinds of repos have different formats. Currently just says Vodaflex website. Changes the readme title to Vodaflex org website. Okay. So you can then create the pull request. You can. So because I am the one who manages this. I am the one who manages the Codaplex repo as well. I can merge these changes. I just made this change, right? So here we see like it's just Codaplex org on the original um, Codaplex on the original Codaplex, this thing. It says Codaplex website. So if they will see pull request here. The repo manages. They'll see your pull request here. They'll go through it. They'll see the files you have changed, what changes you have made. They'll see that this is just adding the org thing, and they can merge this. So when they merge it, the code is updated. Codaplex org website. So I made this change locally. What happened was I made this change locally here. I pushed it to my origin forked copy, and I sent a pull request to this thing, which was merged. So this was updated. That is how you contribute. You make changes. Any project, any open source project, you fork it, you copy it, clone it, you edit, make changes to it, whatever. You push your changes to your copied forked version, and you create a pull request. So, and when you're making changes here, you create branches. Whatever changes you're making, you create a new branch. You make your changes there, and then from that branch, you push that branch to your this thing. So that this also has that branch, and from that branch, you try to push a pull request to whatever wherever you want to push it here. So you have to understand a little bit more about branches here and stuff. I don't think I'll be able to get into that right now. But you always use branches whenever you're making changes and pushing those changes and sending up a request or whatever. Always use branches basically to do that, and that's how you contribute. And then anyone else who makes any changes here, you have to fetch those locally, and you have to make sure that whatever changes you're making do not conflict with changes other people are making, right? So before you're able to send your pull request or has already sent it, if someone else has sent a some pull request which was accepted, which also edits the same file that you have edited, or the same lines that you have edited, then there'll be a merge conflict, right? Because they copied and made changes to the file along with you parallelly to you. So they don't have the changes you made, you don't have the changes they made. So it conflicts both, right? So you have the merge conflict at that time, and you have to resolve that and send the updated PR. You don't have to create a new PR. You just have to you have whatever changes they have made. If you have to resolve it, whatever changes they have made, you have to fetch those changes. You have to resolve those the merge conflict locally. You have to push the changes here, and your to whatever branch you send the PR from, and PR, whatever PR you have sent will be updated automatically. So you don't need to create a new PR as well. So yeah, I think that should explain most of the basics of Git and GitHub. Yeah, a rebase. I mean, I can't go into too much details, but it basically like break the word down. Base is whatever base you're, like the um, wait, status on branch master. Your branch is up to date with origin, nothing to commit.
Hmm.
It's not showing the commit ID here, no, right? So the rebase just means you're changing the base, right? So instead of like um, if you so it has multiple uses. If you have so it's used to क्या बोलते हैं, push multiple commits together in one commit as well, I believe. So if you have made a lot of different changes for a particular thing, instead of having lot of different commits, you can rebase all of that into one single commit, I believe, using the rebase command. Um, there are different uses of it. That for better understanding, you'll have to like uh, search and read a bit about it. I will not be able to go into too much depth about that, but that's the general explanation I can give you. Any other questions you have? Any basic general questions about GitHub contributing to open source? And yeah, like Hacktoberfest. So Hacktoberfest is right around the corner. I hope there is no data limit. GitHub for personal profile as well as fundamentally GitHub and cloud seems to be the same. Yeah, cloud just means I mean, cloud is nothing but the internet, basically. It's just servers. It's like computers that are built not for personal use for human beings, but to connect with each other. And it's just servers, basically, right? Like the way your system has hard disk and basic hardware and stuff, but it has a display and everything and everything for you to personally use. That's your personal computer. If you remove all the user interface stuff and you are just left with the hardware and you put it properly like in a box or whatever, that's your server. And you have multiple boxes like that. You have a server farm or whatever, right? So uh, when you have all those kinds of boxes together in one room or whatever, that's your server room or whatever, basically, right? So some platform like AWS also basically physically has all these kinds of boxes and rooms and stuff full of servers, basically, and they store everything that anyone uses. They store all of that on those servers, and they have a lot of those servers, and they try to keep them online all the time. And I mean, I'm trying to break it down in a very simple way, but that is what basically cloud means, right? So they have these computers that are powered on 24/7, or they have a certain logic in place so that it seems like they're on 24/7, and that gives you the impression of the cloud, basically, right? Like all these platforms, Instagram, any online platform, whatever, they all rely on these servers that are just on all the time, and they keep running and they save all the data and everything. So GitHub has its own servers. I believe I'm not sure. I think it uses AWS as well. So AWS is a cloud provider, meaning it has all these servers and everything, and it makes it gives you a very simple interface to access those servers and manage them and stuff, basically, right? So instead of you buying any service yourself and managing everything yourself, they make it super easy for you to manage those servers using the AWS website, console website, whatever. So AWS, Google Cloud, Azure, all of them offer some sort of a cloud platform like this, basically. So that's what, like, GitHub also as a platform uses servers like these, and it might have its own servers that it has built and like bought and set up and built and everything, or it might be also parallelly using AWS and other cloud platforms as well. I believe right now it's using Azure because Microsoft has bought GitHub, right? So that's how it works. So all the servers, like whatever code you're pushing to GitHub, it's living inside the servers owned by GitHub, and it will be there as long as GitHub is keeping those servers alive, basically, which should be forever as for now because Microsoft has bought GitHub. So there's strong security and everything. It's not like it's going to go anywhere, basically. There is no data limit. I mean, actually, I mean, you can look at GitHub's pricing page or whatever. They recently updated their plans. It used to be that uh, if you are creating an open source project, then you can have unlimited people. But if you're creating a private project, then you have some limitations, private repos and stuff. So now it is basic for teams and unlimited private, public repository, unlimited collaboration. If you pay $4 per month, you can create unlimited private public repositories, unlimited collaborators, action minutes. So what they did is they changed their plans recently, so to focus more on this thing, action minutes per month, which is something 50,000 action minutes, actionable metrics, community powered, 50 GB of GitHub package. Yeah, so you can, with free plans, you can now create unlimited public-private repositories. You can have unlimited collaborators for those projects, but there's a limitation to the action minutes, like 2,000 minutes of actions per month or something, deployment action or something. So that was updated recently. That used to be the plan previously, but there's no limit on how many collaborators you can have in your private repos as well now. Instead of that, they are using the action minutes as a way to get people to pay. So there's limitation on the action limits. Yeah. So Hacktoberfest is just a sort of like a competition targeted towards beginners to get beginners into open source. What you do is in the month of October, you contribute to any open source project on GitHub. You register on Hacktoberfest. So you have to sign in with GitHub. So you sign in with GitHub, and then when Hacktober begins, October 1st, it's going to start just tracking the contributions you make, pull requests you make. The way I made a pull request, you have to make pull requests that get merged, basically, and the first four are counted. So they consider four pull requests. If you make four successful pull requests, they send you a T-shirt, basically. So that's what it is. It's as simple as that. Um, and I believe they have a limit on T-shirts as well. Only the first 50,000 people who make four successful pull requests or contributions get a free T-shirt, I believe, because they have their own budget as well. So that is Oktoberfest. The next question is, how do you figure out like which projects to contribute to all of that? Um, the best way is to just search here, right? Like, um, Oh, it's searching on this thing. Mhm. So check out this repo. Free Code Camp has one, how to contribute to open source. Go down here, you will find a lot of different links. Um, you can search on GitHub this way. Is open, is issue, label easy. This way you will find, you can select the language as well, whatever language you're familiar with, and it will filter issues across GitHub. Uh, So it will search across like this basically saying it has to be a issue. Search for issues that are open and have the label easy and Hacktoberfest. So here you can see easy Hacktoberfest, right? And search within the JavaScript languages. Create a new logo for this extension, right? Hacktoberfest easy. Add toggle switch to extension. Links are not hyperlinked in this generated PDF documentation for working with this project. Blah 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 blah. Right? So that's how you can do issues to contribute to. There are lots of links here you can go through that are super helpful. Um, issue hub, code triage, and other ways you can find issues and repos. Open source guides is a really good website to go through and go through this. And to also like, let me just see if I can npm install. So there's this node package called Git that helps you learn Git and GitHub. It's something I recommend any beginner to go through to learn Git. Not sure if this will work or not actually. I don't know if it is going to break. So npm install git it is the command. Node school. So you have Node School is like basically learning different technologies by going through guided Node command line packages basically. So you can learn Node by npm install learn your Node, all kinds of stuff. There's Git. So Git has a desktop application as well. You can install that if you want. Whatever your Windows, Mac, Linux, whatever it is, you can install that and use that. Or you can do npm install Git as well. Npm install G is for global, Git it, and you should be able to install it. And then you just say Git it, and it will show this. And each of these are like challenges, right? So you enter. It shows you some install Git on your computer, configure your name and email to verify guide, run Git it, verify, right? So each of these challenges, like each time you finish a challenge, you run Git it again and it shows completed the challenge. So you go through all of these, and by the end you will pretty much go through all the commands I showed you, but you will get some practice of it as well. So this is something I would recommend you guys to go through as well. Any other questions? So I'm audible, like everything was clear, right? Any confusion with anything? So before we end, just wanna make sure. So we have an online chat room that all of you should join if you aren't there already. A lot of people have already left the call, but that's okay, I guess. Um, so we have this online chat room. It's on Discord, so you will probably need to sign up on Discord. But to join that, the link is codaplex.org, chat.codaplex.org. Let's share this here. Wait, chat.codaplex.org. So it should lead you to join our server on Discord. And we have a lot of different channels for different topics here. There's a general jobs channel for posting job openings, off topic for off topic conversations, upcoming events for any upcoming events you might host, we post there. Open sources for open source related discussions. Any questions you have related to open source, you can post it here. Web dev, mobile, all of these are for different technologies and stuff. So you can join this and you can share any knowledge you have. You can ask any questions, all of that. So make sure you join that. And Meetup Code of X. If you're not already a part of our meetup group, make sure you join that as well. It's meetup.com/codeplex. We keep posting different events. We do like about 2 events a week right now. So we have one today and we have one tomorrow. Tomorrow we have one. It's a free counseling session that I'm taking on how to build your career in tech. Um, it's for students, college students, recent graduates, anyone who's currently job seeking or whatever, confused about your career, anything at all, any questions. It's like an open conversation, open discussion sort of a thing to help everyone. And I know that a lot of people share the same problems. So by responding to one person, a lot of people will find a lot of relevant advice. So that make sure you RSVP for that. And finally, so we are running a crowdfunding campaign for the past couple of months. So Codaplex, for those of you who are not aware, Codaplex is a registered non-profit organization that I have been running for the past few years. And the purpose of Codaplex is to like work on ideas, projects, whatever it is, to help people learn, ideally free of cost. We genuinely believe in learning free of cost because I even myself personally have not paid for any resource. I've taught everything myself free of cost. So we believe in helping. We want to help as many people learn as many modern technologies and help them progress in their career. And what we do is like we manage the Codaplex community. I manage the community, and there's other communities that we manage as well. Um, there's the Angular Hyderabad community, AWS Hyderabad community, Cloud Native Hyderabad community. Let me just a second. So we have is crowdfunding campaign because we don't charge for anything, and I do this work full time, this community management work. So I decided to organize a crowdfunding campaign to sustain the work that we are doing and keep going, and also because it's just a second. It's these are the groups. So I'm going to show the groups once. This is the Codeflex community, Vue Hyderabad, Cloud Native Hyderabad, AWS Hyderabad, Angular Hyderabad community. There are other community groups as well. These we don't manage, but if you want, you can check them out as well for different sorts of technologies, topics, and stuff. Even they organize their own events and sessions as well. So you can check them out. Yeah, so if you find the work that we do valuable, if it's helpful to you in any way, then and you want to support the work we're doing, then you can consider making a contribution or crowdfunding campaign. And it's really not about the amount. We have had some people who have made a lot of, like high amount of, generous contributions. But some of them have made very even small contributions. And for us, it's really not about the amount, but it's just amazing to see so many people make a contribution basically in the first place, because uh, it's like it gives some validation that we are doing some work that is helping them, that they find valuable, right? All of these people, I've known them for many years, many of them, and they're all like they've made so much progress in their careers. They're working in different companies. They started at some place else when they didn't really know much, and they are so much ahead now in their career. So a lot of them I've known for like even 3 4 years of being part of the community. So it's just like for me personally, it's just like it validates the work, right? It shows ki, yeah, like the work that we're doing is actually something that's helping people. So if you find any value in the work we're doing, then do consider making a contribution to the crowdfunding campaign. So I'll just the link for that here. So that's about it. This went on for like pretty much at least half an hour longer than I anticipated it to be. I thought it'll be at least 1.5 hour long, right? Not 2 hours long. I took a lot of time in the beginning, I think. But what do you all? How did you all feel about this? Did you find it valuable? Did you learn something? You can speak on the mic as well. Debugging process. Anyone who would like to give any feedback? Okay. So I think we are now at the end of the session. So we can end this, and I hope to see you all in our next session. We have one tomorrow, and we will have a couple next week as well. So hope to see you all there.